The NCAA tournament bubble the last few days and weeks has been absolute chaos, and there's been some big time winners and losers. So I'm going to go through the games from March 3rd and 4th. Go through, talk about some of those games, get you guys prepared for March and kind of my thoughts and reactions from these games. So I'll start out with Kentucky in College Station dropping another game. Now, this doesn't necessarily hurt Kentucky. Kentucky's a lock for the tournament, but A&M, kind of a team that's floated around and kind of in bubble territory after a great start. They've kind of come down to earth big time and had lost many, but a win against Kentucky is big time for them. So this was an odd game because Kentucky, the unpredictables, match their title. It's exactly what they were. And there's kind of two different people that had kind of hinted at why this happened. Texas A&M went on a 36-6 run from 7:52 in the first to 18:08 left in the second. Then went on a 45-10 overall run. This Mark Pope blames it on the loss of or lack of focus once they get up. Kentucky led 30-18 and then trailed. They went up from up 12 to down 12 at halftime. It was crazy. But also, Brandon Garrison kind of says that they got relaxed and they just started chilling, and that's not okay, and that comes down to coaching. I'm not saying Pope needs to watch his like seat or anything, but that comes down to making big time adjustments, making the correct calls, and like whether it's a timeout at a certain situation, whether it's a certain lineup. And I don't know if there was a whole lot of stopping it with different lineup changes, because this happened with some of the best players Kentucky has to offer on the court. I think this is just, it was a coaching malpractice in this one. Completely choked the game away, and then they were kind of at arm's width from then on, and Texas A&M. Great win for them. Anytime you can beat Kentucky, especially, like A&M, and in this instance where it's a Kentucky team that you can get, definitely going to you want to try to grab those. So big time win. I do want to highlight though Ramadan Mo Diabate. Him and Owe were really the only ones that got that showed out and played great games. But I will say Owe was a little bit of stat padding there at the end, I'll just be honest. But Ramadan Mo, credit to Mo Diabate. Because of his religion, he's not able to, during Ramadan, he's not able to eat anything from while the sun's out. So during the game, he's over there eating a like fruit cup. I don't know if it was like mandarin oranges or if it was peaches or whatever it was, but he goes out there and eats those. And then I don't have his full stat line in front of me, but he balls out and turned it into bully ball and had multiple and one opportunities. And it was very impressive to see him do that. He finished with 19 points, 7 rebounds off the bench. So I thought he was a big time impact in this one, in the unfortunate loss for A&M. A&M, this was like stereotypical though for how they want to win games. They want to speed you up, rattle you, force you to turn the ball over and hit threes. And that's exactly what they did. It was kind of started by Ruben Dominguez, but then the team kind of followed. So it was good stuff for them. Moving on, Kansas drops the game at Arizona State. Mo Odom has been fun from Maui to now in March. So he's been a blast to watch. And Bill Self got thrown out. Third ejection ever. And it was crazy to see. And honestly, you got my respect, Bill. That was a horrendous call. Now, this is you can say this as a stat sheet watcher. You can also say it as just the eyes. Darren Peterson was really bad in this game. Really bad. I know there's injuries lingering and flaring up, and credit to him for playing through it all because of what people have placed on him. It just wasn't a great game for him. It wasn't great. But for him, the draft is going to come down to, this is what my mindset's been the entire time. It depends who gets the pick. On where he's going to go. He's not going anywhere lower than 3, and I honestly think he's not going anywhere lower than 2. I just think it's going to depend on what the team needs. So he's going to have a chance to go number 1. Like, it doesn't matter how many of these games he puts up. Season's about over. He's fought through a lot of stuff, and he's going to be fine. But on the other side, Arizona State. Also credit to the Arizona State smoke machine guy, I guess you could call him. When Bill Self was ejected, he blew smoke. It was hilarious. Objectively funny. Got up for him, had 19 and 9. He was a very, very important player in this one too. Battling with that front court is never easy. So, yeah, he was awesome and made a big time impact, and there just wasn't enough across the board. And Bryson Tiller, I'm really hoping that he can kind of find his groove again for this Kansas team to make a long run, because these last few haven't been great. It felt like there for a while he was a big time threat. Even like he didn't have a ton in some of these games, like 8 and 10. Like those were difference makers for him. But then it was 4-11 in the Houston game, which they won. It feels like to me he's kind of the X factor for this team. Like what Bryson Tiller does is what happens. Because in these last, 6 games, he has had double digits twice, and those were the 2 games they won. So I feel like he's the difference and he's the X factor for this team, and I mean he's exceeded all expectations. I feel like, at least for what I had placed on him, but he's been awesome to say the least. So hopefully he can find his groove again. This Kansas team can make a run, because a lot of these guys I really do enjoy watching play. TCU at Texas Tech. This one was absolutely massive for TCU. Being able to go on the road and win is crazy, and especially doing it at Texas Tech is wild. So they now have wins versus Florida, a 1 seed. Iowa State, depends on where you look, very high seed, to say the least. And then the number 10 Texas Tech Red Raiders, who's probably like a 3 seed, maybe 4 seed, I'm not sure. But going out there and winning that game is spectacular, and it's been the guys that have stepped up late for them. Like you have Xavier Edmonds, Micah Robinson, and Jaden Pierre. And Jaden Pierre, I remember loving watching him play early in the year. He's been a blast to watch all year for them, and they just continue to rack up wins. This was just there wasn't enough for Texas Tech. This is like the fear of Texas Tech, where Lawan Watts and Bemboye have combined 8, and then you have 10 total off the bench. It's just not great. Like Donovan Atwell is going to do his thing. Christian Anderson wasn't great in this one. Jalen Petty wasn't the best player in the world either. So big time bubble win for TCU. Huge win for them. And honestly, I think they're probably just in now. I don't even know if they're bubble at this point. But for Texas Tech, it's worrisome, but it's not the end of the world. It kind of sucks. It's one that you want to make sure you can snag. But at the end of the day, it's not over. Cincinnati, which I had a friend in attendance because of, the man, the myth, the legend, Major Advanza. Cincinnati hosted BYU, and it was honestly very sad to watch. Like there was never a moment where you were like, oh yeah, BYU's going to win this game. Like it's literally start to finish. They were incredible. So I think they pronounce it Sham, and that's, I've heard it Sham, Tham, and I've heard people butcher it as well. But number 52, great big. He's incredible for Cincinnati, and Baba Miller. So that duo right there, I feel like has been kind of the big time difference, along with Jizzle James, and like turning this season around. Like Wes Miller's a dude that I always want to see succeed, and it's a really tough situation for Cincinnati. I think they're probably, I would say, gosh, it's so difficult. So they host, no, they're at TCU. If they could win that TCU game and then win maybe one in the Big 12 tournament, I think they're probably in. But they're very, very interesting, because they, like I said, they've turned it around. They just won this one by 22. Never a game, honestly. And, it's not been great. But they have as many wins. They have more wins than BYU in Big 12 play. They have as many wins as UCF in Big 12 play. And they're only like 2 back from like Kansas and Iowa State. They turned it around completely from where they were, and I know they didn't have a few starters when they played Eastern Michigan, but they lost to Eastern Michigan at home. Now here they are, dominating in these games. Since Cincinnati's Wes Miller apologized to the fan base for bad results, lack of results, whatever. They've beat UCF by 20, beat Kansas State by 29, beat Utah by 4, beat Kansas at Ellen Fieldhouse by 16, lost to Texas Tech by 12. Beat Oklahoma State by 23 and beat BYU by 22. And now they are the 5th-ranked team in college basketball on Bart Torvik in this span. The only teams ahead of them, Duke, Michigan, Florida, and Arizona, the 4 1 seeds. If not those 4, then UConn is the 1 seed in there, but they're right behind them. Cincinnati has been one of the best teams in the entire country in the last month, and you can tell. Like they aren't even like just winning games; they're running teams off the floor, drumming them like crazy. Now on the BYU side of things, like the Richie Saunders, like that whole injury, I hate it, and it's tough. But I never thought it was going to be this bad. Like I love Richie Saunders as much as the next guy. I've talked about how I'm probably the biggest Richie Saunders fan that's not a BYU fan in the world. And I never thought it would mean this much. Like it's literally AJ and Rob. They go out and do all that they can. I thought Kostic gave some good minutes. He had a couple good looks early in this game and knocked down some early. But there's just really nothing outside of him that kind of, makes you optimistic and encouraged by anything that you're seeing. So the defense has always been a problem, but since the Richie Saunders injury, which he's not necessarily a Gary Payton by any means, but BYU is the 162nd ranked defense in America. That's obviously very, very, very bad. And I don't know if there's any light. And they're going to make the tournament. I don't think they're bubble watch or anything, but Cincinnati, on the other hand, is kind of bubble watch. But I feel like I said, if they can win at TCU and then win a Big 12 tournament game on that crazy court that we've now seen the women play on, crazy court, but I will say I love it at the same time. But there's part of me that has like the old fashioned mindset of like why, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and I'm worried about maybe. People brought this up on Twitter, that it's just going to be like smothered with ads. And that's why they want to do it that way. Who knows? But I love the classic wood and the shoes squeaking on it. It just feels right. So I hope this is never like a thing where they eventually go to this, because it even looks like it looks a little dull at times. Like it just looks like it's like a matte finish over like a court. Like the wood, you still got like a little shine to it. So I hope this isn't the case. But yeah, credit to Cincinnati. They have absolutely turned things around, and BYU kind of reeling a little bit. Virginia survived a close one with Wake Forest, 75-70. This is a Virginia team that I feel like at this point is kind of like, all right, let's get to a point where we can prove ourselves again. We obviously blew the game that was at Duke, but now it's kind of cruise control. Let's get back to like the ACC championship, trying to meet with these boys. That's what I feel like they are at this point. Not that there's like a lack of like vibes being high, or like I think that's all fine, and there's still a lot of effort, but I just feel like they're kind of I feel like they're kind of on cruise control a little bit, to where they're just like, all right, let's just finish. Let's just keep winning games and getting through these. Illinois beats Oregon. Stojakovic, this is the version of him that you've got to have. And I know it's Oregon, and they're really, really bad. But this is the kind of Stojakovic you need. 21 points in this one. He was incredible. Mirkovic has been incredible as of late. He's had 19-12, one down game, 14, 25, 12, 18, 12, 10, 19. Like he's been on a roll. So both of those guys, they're kind of the keys to this, because they're not ever going to stop anybody crazy. We'll just be honest with you there, but I think they're just going to have to outscore guys, and that's going to kind of be the duo that I think is going to have to, because Wagler's going to bring it. He's going to bring it nightly. And Kylan Boswell is going to be able to run the show and play some defense and play extremely hard. But those are the type of guys that you gotta look at and pay attention to whenever they're trying to just outscore some teams. Florida, they have been on an absolute tear. Obviously, I don't even know. I don't even have to count at this point. They have the one loss to Auburn sprinkled in there, but other than that, they haven't had a loss since at Missouri on whatever day this was. This was January 3rd. So since January 3rd, they've lost one game. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And they just throttled Arkansas over the weekend. Then they beat Mississippi State 108-74. Florida is the first team to score 105-plus points and win by 30-plus in back-to-back games in the SEC since Kentucky in 1971. Crazy. That was a Jared Burson on Twitter stat. They've been losing their mind. And Tommy Houck wasn't even playing in this game. That's what's the craziest part of it. But Alex Condon, he was kind of the guy going into the year where you were like, all right, SEC Player of the Year. And then it wasn't the best start in the world. We'll just keep it a buck. But as of late, 26 points in this one, and then he had 17, 23, 24, 20. He's been figuring it out, and that makes him even more terrifying. And he's just been doing a little bit of everything. He's been awesome. And then Ruben Chinyelu, 11 and 16 rebounds. It's just so funny to see how many rebounds he got in each matchup because it's just absolutely goofy. UCLA handles Nebraska from start to finish, and it was honestly, it never felt like a game in this one as well. Like it was kind of an unfortunate one because this was a late night one that I was excited for, but Trip Perry and the UCLA Bruins in this one just dominated. Trip Perry had 27 and 4. He was awesome, and UCLA just rolled. And since the interview, the all-time interview, they have only lost one. They're 3-1 in that span, and now they play the Battle of LA with the USC game coming up soon. Miami, Ohio stays undefeated with another late game, kind of heroic and save. So I guess I'll talk about that here instead of like carving up my own segment. They survive in this one. They get to 30-0. Crazy stuff. It's awesome. But the big time talk, it's been the talk for a few weeks now, but this has really ramped up this week thanks to Bruce Pearl, thanks to their AD, thanks to other people in media. Should Miami, Ohio make it if they were to drop a game? Now, here's the thing. Well, honestly, the question's been, should they make it? Well, here's the thing. If they just don't lose, then they're going to make it. It doesn't matter either way. They went 74-72 against a not good Toledo team. We'll just be honest here. Now, I think that it's probably just going to be them and Akron in the championship because those two feel much farther ahead than the rest, in my opinion. Maybe Kent State makes a run. I don't know. But Miami, Ohio is probably going to make their way through the tournament, and they're going to end up getting to where they're probably playing Akron in the championship. Now, if they were to lose that game, should they get in? And I say yes. I get that their excuse of like, oh, well, the big boys won't play us, and I know that's been the problem, but Jimmy Dykes said, and I wouldn't consider myself the biggest Jimmy Dykes fan in the world. Think he's a good dude, but not the biggest fan of his commentating and everything. He said, when people say Miami, Ohio hasn't beaten anybody, well, they've beaten everybody. They've literally not lost. Now, if they get to the point where they're, I don't even know what it would be, 33-1. If you're telling me a 33-1 team can't make the tournament, then just get rid of the tournament. Like, you're rewarding winners, and I don't want to see, and I hate to see it, and I talked about it in the college football playoff talk. Mid teams don't deserve a chance to go like crown themselves champs. You had a full season to try to do it, and I'm talking about Auburn and those teams. Like, you've lost way too many games to be able to argue over Miami, Ohio. And I get it. They wouldn't win a game in the SEC probably. We'll just be honest. Like, they don't, this makes it so much more impressive with me. Like, they don't have like just absolute dudes. Like when Wichita State was doing their thing, like they had just like guys. You're like, okay, well obviously Fred VanVleet's been in the league for a while, and then Ron Baker and Clay Anthony Early, like they had guys. There's not necessarily that type of thing. Like, this is a legit team that's just really good and gets the job done. They deserve to be in. If they are 33-1, if they drop their last game of the regular season and go in with 2 losses, getting up to 30 wins is an insane thing. Put them in. That's my stance. You've got to put Miami, Ohio in. I don't want to hear anything else about it. Miami, Ohio has got to be in. I don't care what the outcome ends up being. I know they've survived in games and they've played some close ones, but that also should add to why they they should be in, because they just figure out ways to get things done, and they do it night in and night out. North Carolina beats Clemson. I really want to talk about this game for one main reason. It's very upsetting that I have to bring this up, but it's about Seth Trimble. 9 points, 4 rebounds for him, and 30 minutes played. This game was literally, it felt like I looked up and Luka Bogovac hit another 3. He ended up with 6 for 10 from 3-point range. He was awesome. He was absolutely incredible, and they're kind of just surviving without Caleb Wilson because they're getting a top 5 pick in the NBA draft coming back soon. Hopefully for Saturday. Hopefully. Fingers crossed on that. But I want to bring up Seth Trimble because this dude, this is why the weight room injuries suck so bad. This is why I hated this so much. Because dudes like this deserve the world. At this point in this era, the Todd Gurley clip just went around where he was like, oh, I'd have transferred 4 times. The transfer portal is there, and it's an option. And Seth Trimble has decided to stay and stick around for 4 years at a school, and he is one of 22 individuals at a high major level that are 4-year seniors at the same school in Division I. 22. That is absolutely ridiculous. That was Coach Richie McKay from Liberty acknowledging the rarity of celebrating long-tenured seniors. Seth Trimble is that guy. He's been a great player. He's also just grown every single year. He came in freshman year shooting 16% from 3. Jumps all the way to 42% his second year. Goes from starting, and he was 1.8 points per game, 5.2, 11.6. Now 14.2 for the North Carolina Tar Heels, and it's just awesome to see. It is absolutely awesome to see. Has them 17th ranked in the country, and they're going to be in the tournament, and he's a big-time leader for him. And so big-time shout-out to Seth Trimble. Love to see guys like that. When you see all this in the world of college basketball right now, seeing guys like Seth Trimble really makes it worth it. And when there's all these other options sticking around at a place, especially like UNC, where there's this storied tradition where, I'm a Kentucky fan, and it's going to be unfortunate. There's going to be a lot of guys that came here for 1 year and they're going to be kind of pushed out, or maybe they came here for a year and they're getting offered more from somewhere else, and they're going to go somewhere with less pressure, and they're not going to want to just sit behind guys and all this different stuff. And going to a place like North Carolina where you're going to have to sit and somebody might offer you more or something, doing that is incredible. So I'm glad he got his moment on senior day. I wish he could have just had a 30 ball or something. They would have won by 40, but that was not the case. And Clemson gave him a fight. St. John's won 72-69 against Georgetown. Another wild Zuby Ejiofor game. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And at this point, I'm assuming he's probably the favorite to win Big East Player of the Year. I picked B-Hop in the preseason. That's not going to pan out at all. But, yeah, St. John's, they're another team that I feel like, with what I was saying with Virginia, they're just kind of on cruise control. Just keep winning because they're very, very comfortably the second or first best team in the conference. I know they just lost by 32, but they also beat that same team. So, yeah, St. John's is gonna be fine. This playing these close ones don't bother me at all. So 72-69, Georgetown fought but could not get through it. Tennessee rolled. This is a rare one because they just kind of suck when they're ranked. They have a number by their name. They're not good, but luckily they played South Carolina. South Carolina is really, 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 really bad. Felix Okpara, random. If you would have told me to guess, 2 guys had 20 balls. Which guys were they? Not guessing JP Estrella and Felix Okpara. Now, no Nate Mint, obviously, from the injury over the weekend. But, yeah, it was just a cruise win, and it was kind of a game that they dominated. And I don't think they ever trailed in it. So, beautiful stuff. Great win for the Vols to just get back on track. Vanderbilt Ole Miss. This one just had a wild ending. Went to overtime. Vandy wins 89-86. And Tyler Tanner, 34, 5, and 7 for the man. 5 steals added to it. He's been awesome. He has been absolutely awesome. Tough one for Ole Miss. They're probably going to miss the tournament. Barring I think they'd honestly just have to win the SEC tournament at this point to be able to get in. And Sean Miller's not going to be able to get it done, even though he had a squad last year. I think I can't remember the guy's name. There was a guy on Ole Miss that I was trying to find to bring up as another dude. Okay, maybe I can't find it. But nonetheless, it's just Ole Miss is not. It's not an easy place to play because of who's coaching the squad, and it's a tough, weird pavilion and all this. Vandy goes down there, gets a win, much needed win after getting drummed in Rupp Arena on Saturday. So big time stuff for the Commodores. I think that's it for March 3rd, and on to March 4th. Another great night of hoops. Arkansas bounces back, throttles Texas. And the big takeaway from this one is Sean Miller's postgame. He talked about Darius Acuff's performance, where he had 28 points, 13 assists. Crazy game. Crazy game. Trevon Brazile, 28.7 rebounds, 3 blocks. Like when he's on, and he's a ton of fun to watch. But when he's off, it's really ugly, and Arkansas doesn't win a whole lot when he's off. But Sean Miller, in his post game, talked about Darius Acuff, and he said, Darius Acuff is the best guard that I've ever seen in my entire coaching career, and he's been doing it 34 years. Just saying that he can kind of dictate how everything goes, and he just runs the show as good as anybody in the entire country, and there's all this number one pick stuff, and he doesn't understand why he's not in that conversation. Darius Acuff is definitely a top 5 guard Cal has ever had, and I do think he should probably be in consideration for the number 1 pick, but the crazy reality is he's probably not even going to go, he's not going top 3, even though I think he should be in that consideration. But he's probably going to go likely 6, which is wild. And outside of Darren Peterson, I think there's a tier where I think he's probably at the top. It's him or Kingston Flemings for the top of the rest of the guards outside of Darren Peterson, which is crazy. But they win 105-85, and when they're on, there is no stopping. Miami wins 77-69. Trey Donaldson, what a ball game overall by him, 17-7 and 9. They just continue to roll. 13-4 in ACC play, 24-6. Jay Lucas has done one absolute heck of a job. They're a tournament team. SMU, on the other hand, tough loss for a bubble team like them. Really, really tough one. But it sucks because, Miami overall as a team, I really like them. SMU, on the other hand, they seem like a very, very fun team that wouldn't make some noise in March because of the 2 guys that played a combined 80 minutes tonight. They played every single second of the game. Boopie Miller and Jerron Pierre Jr., they combined for 48 points tonight and 8 rebounds and 8 assists. That duo is crazy. They are absolutely insane. That backcourt is one of the most fun in the country. But Miami did not let anybody else get going, to say the least. They held everybody else to rough nights. But Jay Lucas is an absolute star in the making, and Miami's got a gem in him, and he's probably only going to start getting more players and more dudes. So yeah, they get a big one. Ohio State beats Penn State by 8 billion points. It was never a game. Also in this one, it was all Ohio State from the tip, and this is back-to-back important wins for them because the Purdue win was one thing, but they had just dropped 2 in a row. Now they play Indiana for one of the most important games in a long time that I can remember. But 94-62, and Junie Mobley was the story in this one. His freshman year, it was so much fun to watch him, and it was yeah, this dude gets it. This one, he goes 8 for 9 from 3. 8 for 9 from 3. It's absolutely ridiculous. Bruce Thornton, another guy that I want to highlight with Seth Trimble, just 4-year Ohio State guy. And if you look at his numbers, the phones were ringing, and he stayed loyal, stayed true. And he's just wrote it out. Averaged 11 as a freshman, 15.7, 17.7. Now he's averaging 20. He's been spectacular. And so another dude I just want to say respect. Staying around is is not easy, and he's been able to kind of lead this team. And like I was saying with SMU, this team, if they get in, which I think this one probably, I'd say you have to beat Indiana. I feel like that's with either team there. It's going to be very, very desperate. But this team with their backcourt would be a ton of fun, a ton of fun. Yeah, they've got enough with their starting group to make some noise in March, and yeah, big one with Indiana this weekend. Moving on from that one, St. Louis beats Loyola Chicago. It's just extremely sad. Loyola Chicago. Purdue survives against Northwestern. Comeback win, trailing by 9. CJ Cox hits a big-time 3 late to take the lead, and he finished with 27 tonight. He made up for a pretty poor night from everybody else. Yeah, that's putting it lightly. TKR 11-10, but Fletcher Warrior, yeah, not great. Not a great night for him. Braden Smith wasn't great tonight. Oscar Clough was not very good tonight. It was just disappointing. Very disappointing. And this Northwestern team, like they hang in there and they do some good things, but the fact that Northwestern led this game for 75% of the game is a problem. And Purdue is trending in the wrong direction, I would say, as of late, because they did just drop 2, and then this one right here, they just dropped 3 or 4. And then this one right here, they can't even get all the way up for. It's a tough one. Houston beats Baylor 77-64. It was senior day. Another guy, Emmanuel Sharp. This one was tough because I saw this one on Twitter. Emmanuel Sharp and Kelvin Sampson embraced, and there were a lot of tears shed. He had 19 in his final game at Fertitta Center, and he's another dude that's just stuck around. Been there 4 years, and he's been a blast to watch. Been one of my favorite players in the sport for the last couple of years. But good win for him. It was certainly not easy, as a lot of these senior nights end up being. For teams that you should kind of drum, they never lay down easy because it's also a personal thing. But yeah, I mean, Baylor's just been the same story all year, but for Houston, it was it's just nice to see the kind of the background. I think you want to see more of an efficient Miles Uzan, but he had the crazy game recently. What was it? Was it UCF? Am I tripping? I don't remember what was no, Colorado, different gold team. Yeah, Colorado were at 26-6, but I'm hoping you can kind of see him and Flemings trending both in the right directions, because Flemings hasn't been incredible as of late, but he goes out and has 21, 3, and 7 in this one. So, yeah, it was pretty cool to see Emmanuel Sharp get his night, and yeah, I'm very excited to see Houston in the tournament because they're gonna have this underdog mentality, because they are very obviously not on that 1 tier line because of some of those other teams on there, but they're gonna be right there, and yeah, they're gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and I've just always been such a huge Houston guy, and love watching them play. I think that's it for tonight. I do want to highlight Heinz Steinbach. He had a crazy game tonight for Washington. He had 22 points, 24 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He's going to be one of those dudes that just gets overlooked in this draft, and he's going to end up being a long-time NBA career, or a long-time NBA player. He's got a long career ahead of him. I'm very excited to see him at the next level. Tomorrow, we got Michigan at Iowa, and I will say they already put out home finale, court storm warning for this Thursday matchup against Michigan. I'm very worried that this is going to go poor because Yaxel Lindeborg is a guy that talks crap, obviously. Usually when guys talk crap, they kind of can see it as fuel from other ways. Yeah, I don't see this one going well at all. They're only a 9.5 point favorite, but if you look at this Iowa team, there's not a whole lot outside of Bennett Sturts. There's also not a whole lot of it's a really small team. Bad front court, not bad front court, but I'm just saying like not to the level of Michigan, not even close. Yeah, this one's gonna get ugly, and it's only 9.5. But what I'm saying with the Axel is like he probably sees that and he's like, oh, court storm warning. Okay, it's personal now. So We'll see how that one goes, but I'm hoping it'll be at least a fun one, but we'll see. I think that'll do it for this episode. If you're looking for a channel that's going to get out a bunch of content throughout March and cover it all and talk about it all and share my thoughts and everything, like you've found the place. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for March and all that March has to offer. The best month of the year. So many exciting games coming up for conference tournaments and beyond that in the NCAA tournament. So make sure to subscribe. Stick around, and I'll be posting on all social medias and on this channel a lot throughout the next month or so. Very excited for it, but I think that'll do it for this one. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It's all greatly appreciated. Peace.